So today we are recognizing graduates, and often you think about, is graduation, is that a finish line or is that a starting line? And so I'm sure for many of the graduates it's a finish line. I made it through all those requirements. I got my diploma, I'm done. But what I've discovered is that if you're living your life for finish lines, you're never going to have as full a life as if you're living your life as every day being a starting line for what comes next. And I think sometimes the world wants us to always be aiming for finish lines. And when we do that, we tend to make life about ourselves. And we end up forgetting who we are and why we're here. So as we think about this finish line that's becoming a starting line, thinking about how many of you were completely independent when you were born? You needed parents, you needed some other people. So as I was thinking about that, you graduates, if you look at the balance of trade in your life so far, you have received a lot more than what you've had to give back for what you have up to this point in life. You received parents, family members who sacrificed, who gave up things that they might have wanted for themselves, but they saw something better as they sacrificed themselves for you. You had teachers that sacrificed themselves for you. You had coaches, you had mentors, you had church leaders, youth leaders like Lori that sacrificed themselves. So up to this point, your balance of trade is pretty much negative. Even though you've done a lot of things, you've worked really hard. You've been invested in. And as I think about my own sons, with Nathan getting his master's a week ago, thinking, well, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade any of the investment that I've made. But the investment, how many of you parents and you mentors out there, your whole investment was just so that your young person could get to the finish line of graduating, and that was your only investment. Was that it? The reason that we invest is because, we just want to get you out of the house, right, Peter? No. But basically, I think most of us realize the investment is because we want our child to become someone who stops just being negative on the balance sheet and starts to pour themselves out in blessing to other people as they discover their gifting and learn how to serve people, as they move into relationships where maybe they need to give themselves to someone else, as they have kids potentially, and realize that it's not about what you get, but it's what you can give away to invest in other people. So ultimately, I think that's that hump that you get over, that you go from being invested in to coming to a place where what's been poured into you, you can start pouring out to bless other people. And so thinking about what's been invested in you, that things that you don't even think about. I was just at my uncle's funeral in Minnesota on Friday. And just looking around that room and thinking about how so much of who I am, I could recognize by seeing the people in that room. Yep, that's why I'm like that. That's why I think that way. That's why I do things that way. And thinking about so much of the investment that has been poured into you is to put you in a place not so that you know all the right information, but it's so that you know how to think. You know how to learn. You know who you are in the midst of challenges. Maybe you've had mentors or people that have seen gifts in you, and now because of what they've invested in you, you're starting to explore those gifts. So much of that is getting that place where you're not just being poured into, but you're at a place where now God, show me how what's been poured into me, I can start pouring out in others.